All right. Well, it was a well, right now at least it is pretty active. It wasn't too active earlier. Was not too active earlier at all, but it is currently active right now, which is why we have this music going on right now. We have currently have a tornado watch right now in the state of South Carolina. All of that we will be talking about tonight. We also will be talking about a cold front that impacts as we go into tomorrow, drier period as we go Friday into early on Saturday, but we still will have some additional rain chances. It just won't be as active until we get probably later into the weekend. And then obviously a drought relief, definitely beneficial. This will be very, very, very beneficial rainfall. So we're going to go in and cut this music real quick. And we're going to get this started. If you have not hit the like button yet, go and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. We are at 732, trying to get to that main goal of 800. So currently, what is going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina? Right now, rainy conditions. We have rainfall going on throughout the upstate, going through Greenville, Boiling Springs, going up to the north and west near like York, Anderson, due west. And as you can see, if we go in and cut off this precipitation right here, there goes the not the cold front, the tornado watch. Pickens going down to Anderson, Abbeville, Walhalla. These areas are all in a tornado watch right now. What is it for? It is for a couple of tornadoes being possible, scattered damaging wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour is possible, and isolated large hail of up to 1.5 inches in diameter possible. That goes until 5:45, or it started at 5:45 p.m. Central Time, which is 6:45 Eastern, going to 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. So, a long way to go with this system. And honestly, that's not really the only thing that's going on as well. If you look down here, if you know anybody in the Brookhaven area over here in Mississippi, I know it's outside of South Carolina, but there is a tornado emergency right now. That's one of the worst warnings that you can get, especially when it comes to weather-wise. So, if you know anybody in this area, from Brookhaven to East Lincoln to Woolworth to Silver Creek to New Hebron over here inside of Mississippi, all the way over to Collins and just these areas over here in general, let them know damaging tornadoes on the ground, and it's doing, obviously life-threatening damage right now. But that's if you know anybody in those areas. But if we look at the entire U.S. as a whole, we definitely do have some active conditions. We're talking about rainfall up here in the Northeast. We're talking about rainfall down here inside of the Southeast, also going on in the Midlands, and then also some rainfall in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, going on inside of New Mexico, and then some rainfall over here inside of North Dakota as well. Now, if you look over on the western side, nice dry conditions, and honestly, it looks a lot better than it does over here in the east. Cloud cover wise, we are looking pretty good. We do have some, or I should honestly say mostly, cloud cover going on throughout the upstate, the Midlands, the PD areas. But there are some clear spots, so all's not lost, which is why I said it's pretty good, especially for a good amount of areas where some areas aren't even receiving too much of any cloud cover, but most of us are. So, not the worst, though. Not the worst. Cloud cover for the future, though, as we go on and push this forward. We're going to give this a quick refresh right here. We go on and push this forward all the way through into tomorrow morning, going into tomorrow afternoon. Cloud cover still continues to move its way towards the east. And then by the time we get to around 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday, going into around 2 o'clock p.m. on Friday, that cloud cover will be trying to leave us. But it will stay with us as we continue all the way throughout tomorrow. Current temperatures right now, we're seeing 70s, 72 Somerville, 72 Charleston, 73 Beaufort, 77 Orangeburg, 79 Columbia, 76 Florence, 72 in Murray's Inlet, Myrtle Beach, and Conway, 74 Newbury, 69 in Greenville, 71 Spartanburg, 70 Gaffney. Air quality looks pretty okay. I mean, we have some areas like Florence in there, Spartanburg is in there, and that's for a moderate. Not the worst. Not good, though. Not good. Everybody else inside the good, though. If you're inside of just the regular area with no yellow on you, you're good. No air quality concerns for tonight. Now, what about for our low temperatures for tonight? Look at how hot these low temperatures will be. 72 degrees in Charleston, 72 Hilton Head Island, 69 Moncks Corner, Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, 67 in Orangeburg, Sumter, Florence, 66 in Columbia, 64 Greenville, 63 Spartanburg. Yes, these are not high temperatures. These are low temperatures. These are low temperatures. It's only going to drop to 72 in Charleston as a low for tonight. High temperatures for tomorrow: 75 Greenville, 74 Spartanburg, 75 Winsboro, Camden, Sumter, 80 Moncks Corner, 77 in Charleston, 78 Georgetown, 76 Myrtle Beach. And so you may be asking, well, why in the world are we seeing 70s tonight, but it's only going to rise like 5 degrees? It's because of the cold front. Cold front's going to move through, and it's not going to let those temperatures get too high as we get into tomorrow. And so that would definitely knock those temperatures down. And, you know, when we see the low temperatures for tomorrow night, you can definitely see what I'm talking about there. Rainfall for the next 24 hours, we're talking about a good amount. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch for Hilton Head Island, 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch for Charleston, Moncks Corner, Walterboro, Georgetown, quarter of an inch to a half an inch for Myrtle Beach, half an inch to an inch, Columbia, Camden, Sumter, Florence, Dillon, Cheraw, inch to an inch and a half in Newberry, Winsboro, maybe even an inch and a half to 2 for Rock Hill, Greenville, Anderson. And that's for rainfall as we get into tonight, going into tomorrow. SPC outlook, we do have a risk of thunderstorms. We do have a risk for some severe storms as well. Obviously, we have the tornado watch right now that goes on for those counties up towards the north and west. But it's not expected to really be as impactful, for example, as like over there where we're seeing that tornado emergency right now. To now we have 2 tornado emergencies right now. They just expanded it east to some of those other areas. So we're not going to see that. We're not going to see that. That's not expected in South Carolina. That's going on down there in Mississippi right now. But just because, you know, we're not going to see as severe weather as bad as them does not mean that we're not going to see it. Tomorrow or tonight, honestly, and tomorrow are days for severe weather. And so what are the risks? Well, tonight, they actually did just expand the severe weather a little bit, actually, which is kind of interesting. They actually expanded it. So that means that they're a bit more confident in it as we go into tonight. And what do you know? The risk increased not only for damaging winds, but for tornadoes as well. Let me go in and check this out, actually, because this is the new one that just popped up. We're talking about a marginal risk to a slight risk of severe weather now. If you're in the yellow, Greenville, Spartanburg, Aiken, you're in the yellow, slight risk of severe weather, Columbia, Rock Hill, going on down in Orangeburg, over into other areas like Camden, Sumter. These areas have a marginal risk of severe weather. Well, what are the risks? Well, hail is definitely the least of our worries. Hail is the least of our worries. The only area that really has a chance for hail is up there, kind of where that tornado watch is right now. Abbeville County, Anderson counties, Pickens, Oconee. Those counties have a 5% risk of damaging hail up to an inch in diameter. Now, if we go on and take a look at our next threat, tornadoes, we have a 2% in the green, and we have a 5% in the yellow. Now, it doesn't go all the way up into like Greenville, Spartanburg. It kind of cuts off those areas. Those areas are included with the 2% risk. But if you're inside like the yellow, not really including Greenville, Spartanburg, and not really like Oconee counties, northern Oconee counties, northern Pickens counties, you have a 5% risk of tornadoes, and some of those tornadoes could potentially be strong, EF2 or greater. So I know I just said that it may not be as bad, but it's still not looking like that. It's still not looking like that. They have a 10% hatch risk. We have a 5% hatch risk. So I still don't think that it's going to be as bad, but you never can rule anything out, which is why you should always be prepared. And if you're in the green, not the entire green, but like Columbia, Aiken, going up into Greenville, going into Spartanburg, you are inside of the green 2% risk of tornadoes, meaning that you have isolated tornadoes that could potentially be possible near you today. And then our highest risk definitely is damaging winds. Damaging winds, 5% in the green, 15% in the yellow. Now, that's just for today, tonight, honestly. That's just for tonight. What about tomorrow morning? Like, when I say tomorrow morning, I mean like 7, 8, 9 in the morning. Isolated severe weather back in question. Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Hilton Head Island, the entire Low Country, all the Grand Strand, all the Southern Midlands. All of these areas have a risk for some severe weather. And what are the threats here? The threats here, honestly, are looking not too similar. Damaging winds being probably the more similar, with the 5% risk of damaging winds throughout this entire system here. Hail, not a threat, and there is a little tornado threat. Hilton Head Island is included in there. Allendale County is included in there. Going near Jasper County, Beaufort counties, all these areas are included inside of a 2% risk of tornadoes for tomorrow. So just make sure that you're aware and that you're paying attention for that. Friday comes along and we're good here to go. Fire weather, not expected. Excessive rainfall. We do have a risk for some excessive rainfall. If you're in the yellow, Greenville, Anderson, Walhalla, you have a 15% risk of flash flooding. And if you're in the green, Saluda, Edgefield, Greenwood, Lawrence, Spartanburg, Gaffney, you're in a 5% risk of flash flooding for tonight going into tomorrow morning. And what about for day 5? Because nothing happens as we go into Friday, Saturday. It's really on Sunday. Sunday morning going into Sunday night, Monday morning, isolated flash flooding is back on the table for the upstate of South Carolina. And not only for the upstate, but maybe even a good amount of the Midlands. Columbia is included in there. So a lot of stuff to talk about in terms of severe weather, but just make sure you know where you are, what your risks are as you go into tomorrow and to tonight, and just know what's going to happen. Now, in terms of the crazy score, if you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how active our conditions are throughout the entire state of South Carolina. Let's see what the crazy score is for tonight, and we're at a 58. 58. This overnight setup includes, obviously, increasing clouds. That adds to it. Showers and thunderstorms. That adds to it. Periods of moderate to heavy rainfall. That adds to it. Low-end severe risk. That adds to it. Pretty warm. Maybe not as much, but still may kind of add to it. So, the combination of widespread thunderstorm potential, gusty winds, and low-end severe threat, even if only conditional, pushes this clearly into strong, mild temperatures and drought relief. That's positive, definitely positive, but it still does add to the score. So let's go on now and look at the models, because the models are definitely something that we want to keep an eye on and see what the actual storms look like for the future. So we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. And one thing that you can automatically see is that we have rainfall going on throughout the upstate, which is currently representative of what's going on right now. Now, as we push this forward into Thursday, 12 o'clock in the morning, we have some more severe weather that may try to, or some more showers and storms at least, that tries to get going. And watch as we get into around 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Look at all this heavy rainfall trying to move throughout the state that may cause some severe weather as we get into tomorrow morning. So that pushes through. And then by the time we get to around 1 o'clock p.m., 2 o'clock p.m., still rainfall with some thunderstorm potential as we get into tomorrow afternoon is definitely possible. Get through to 5 p.m., going all the way to 7 o'clock p.m., all the way to 8, 9, 10, 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning is finally when things start to kind of end off here. And then watch as we get into Friday, nice dry conditions. Nice dry conditions. So Thursday, tomorrow, looking like a pretty big day. Right now in terms of our weather. And so let's go in and check out the ingredients and see what the ingredients have to say here for tonight going into tomorrow. We're going to look at the dew points, and we're also going to go in and look at the 500 millibar height, and then also the CAPE as well, So starting off with dew points first, honestly, the moisture is here. That's not going to be an issue at all. In fact, we may even see some 70s in terms of dew points. Like, it's going to be pretty moist as we get into tonight, going into tomorrow. Now watch as we get into the actual wind portion of it. Winds up in the upper atmosphere We're seeing those winds cranking. I mean, we're talking about up to 90, 100 knots in the atmosphere. That's enough. That's enough right there to see some severe weather potential, some tornado potential. But, all of that's good and all. But what about actual CAPE? This is the energy that we see here in the atmosphere for severe weather. And we're seeing some good joules per kilogram. I mean, we even see around a good 2,000 joules per kilogram here at 4 o'clock. 2,500 right here. So, I mean, this easily right here shows a severe weather hazard right here as we get into around 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. or so. So not only do you have to watch out for maybe some showers, some storms in the morning, but also some storms that may try to get going during the afternoon as well with all this CAPE going on. And it would not shock me, if they upgraded our risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Would not shock me at all if they put a slight risk somewhere inside the low country, somewhere inside of the Midlands or anywhere where we're seeing those high CAPE values at, because they seem to be pretty strong, and they seem a lot stronger than what they looked like yesterday. So severe weather, the ingredients are here. Just matters what happens with the convection. Is rainfall in the morning going to impact this morning or tomorrow morning's severe weather risk? What's going to happen there? When's it going to fizzle out? All of that question that will be answered as we get into tomorrow morning. So just make sure that you are aware, make sure that you're prepared, and make sure that you have all your severe weather plans in place just in case if worse does go to worst. So what about the future? Past all this severe weather, as we go into Friday, watch as we go into Saturday. Drier conditions, for sure, definitely drier conditions, but not technically dry. Not dry. Then as we move into Saturday night, going into Sunday comes along, and we have a good amount of rainfall trying to go throughout the state all throughout Sunday. Monday comes along, all throughout Monday. And watch as we get into Tuesday. Watch as we get into Wednesday of next week. Going into Thursday, nice, dry conditions as we go into next week. So I kind of talked about it and touched on it as we went into last night. But last night I said that next week's going to be almost like a little bit of a flip. Next week is going to start off at active, while as we get more towards the end of the week, it's going to get more quiet. It seems like that could be the same case, but reverse, obviously, for this week. We saw this week being more quiet as we went into the beginning part of the week, but then more active as we get toward the end of the week. And so we're kind of seeing that now. Monday of next week looks a bit active, maybe a little bit of Tuesday, but watch as we get into Wednesday. Thursday, Friday brings like a little bit of shower activity, but for the most part, it's not as active. Not as active at all as it was during the beginning part of the week. And as we move throughout the weekend, next weekend, not this weekend right here, but next weekend looks pretty good as well. We go to Monday, going into Tuesday, even going into Wednesday, and we're still talking about nice, dry conditions. So definitely, let's hope we get as much rainfall as we can as we go throughout the next 24, 48 hours or so with this rainfall system throughout this weekend, because it's going to be a dry week next week, and maybe even a little bit of the week after. So let's just hope that we can get a good amount of rainfall here. Now, how much rainfall are we going to see from this? Obviously, 300, 400 hours out, we're not going to be able to get an exact total there. But we can look at the ensembles and let the ensembles kind of guide us towards the direction of what are the totals kind of looking like. And so as we go throughout the next 300 to 400 hours, this does include, obviously, tonight. But it shows around a good 2, 3, maybe even a little bit of 4 inches towards like the western part of the state over here, you can see. So it shows a good amount. According to the ensemble. And if we go on and look at the European one, the European ensemble kind of has us towards maybe only around 2 to 3 or so. It is 24 hours behind the actual GEFS, which means it only goes 360 hours out, while the GEFS goes around 384 hours out. So it's a bit different, a little bit less of time, but 24 hours most likely on an ensemble is going to show that much of a difference in that little amount of time there. So the European doesn't show as much. Let's hope that we get the GEFS one so we can potentially get a good 3-4 inches that can really help knock this drought out as quickly as we can. Now, what about for our temperatures? We're going to start off here Wednesday, 11 o'clock p.m. We're going to push this forward, and obviously the cold front as we go into tomorrow is going to make things, well, cold. And so as you move more and more into Friday, going into Saturday, still some more cooler air tries to move through. You may have a little pocket of warm air trying to go from here to there, but it's going to remain mostly cold and cool, I should say. Not really cold, but cool. Now, as you continue more and more into around Monday, going into Tuesday of next week, just watch. 10, 15 degrees below average, but watch as we get towards the end of the week. We're starting to see a little bit of a change starting to occur. Maybe nothing too much, but a little bit of a change starting to occur. Sunday comes along here on May the 17th here at 2 o'clock p.m. on Sunday. Again, that's too far out, but it even shows us staying a bit more above average as we get more and more towards the end of May. So let's hope that that does continue. But for right now, it looks like that cooler temperatures are definitely what's going to be on our mind as we go more into this weekend going into next week. Now, what are the actual temperatures looking like? I know that obviously it's still a bit far out, especially if you're talking about 200, 300 hours out into the future. But we can just take a look and see what is the actual pattern with it. And so if we go to the mean, this is not what I want. This is what I want right here. Go about 200 hours out or so. One thing that you do see is temperatures trying to stay around the 80s or so as we get more and more into the week after next week. And it kind of just stays more into the 80s, 90s. And like I said, that warm-up is really trying to take shape as we get more towards the end of May. And if we go on and look at the regular deterministic one to look at maybe some more shorter term models and some more shorter term temperatures here. Go through tomorrow, going into Thursday, not going to get as hot as it should. Friday comes along, still looking at some 60s, some 70s as we go into this weekend, 70s and 80s. And then by the time we get to Sunday, going into Monday, still some 70s and some 80s still trying to come along. Now, once we move into Monday, going into Tuesday, still cooler temperatures with another cold blast trying to move through. And next week, we'll just start off definitely cooler than it usually would. And that's all that I really have to say here for the long-term future. So, let me make sure I covered everything real quick. Cold front, dry period, additional rainfall chances, and drought relief. So, yes, we did go through everything. Drought monitor will be coming out tomorrow. Make sure that you're there for that. This is what it currently looks like. Yes, we have a drought going on throughout the state right now. We even have an exceptional drought right now, which we have not seen since 2012, according to my sources that I have seen, of a D4 exceptional drought going on throughout the state. So let's go on now. Before we go on and talk to the audience, I do want to make a little bit of an announcement real quick about something last night. Yesterday evening, while I was going on and making my forecast update, and we were getting towards the top fans, I accidentally said some words that I probably should not have said towards the ending. Talking about the top fans and talking about how probably just some not some nice words. And so I just wanted to say real quick that if you did interpret that as me saying not to type, that is not what I was saying at all. That was not what I was saying. For the most part, what I was trying to say was that me just counting, just like every single night, we just need a little bit of a change. We just need a little bit of a change. I'm not saying stop typing. I'm not saying that. Keep on typing as much as you want to. I do appreciate everybody who does come out here and type as well. So I'm not saying to stop. That is not what I'm saying at all. So I just wanted to make that clear real quick so that everybody knows what I actually meant. And to make sure that nobody is having any sort of, we're not on a different page or anything like that. So I did want to apologize for that last night. But anyways, Now that that is out of the way, I just wanted to make sure that that was good. Let's go on and talk with the audience. So starting off with Maya Lewis, she says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful day today in Georgetown. Our high was around 82 degrees. Currently, we're around 73. Georgetown was beautiful and sunny. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Currently at my house right now. Currently at my house right now, it is around 74." And then high temperatures today got to around 86 degrees. So it was pretty warm. Definitely pretty warm here. Churro says, "Greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. Rainy day here." Well, thank you so much for that report for where you are. And then Mr. Chris says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. It got to around 86 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Currently, it's around 74. Dad says, "Good evening, just from the 360 Weather family." Well, good evening to you. I trust all is well with everyone. Well, thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris says, "Please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know it's free." Absolutely. Right now, it seems like we've had around a good 14 people tune in, only 6 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 8 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. My cousin Cheryl says, "Good evening, weatherman. Greetings, everyone. I'm listening. Hope all is well with everybody. Have a blessed evening and have an amazing tomorrow." Well, thank you so much for that. Hopefully you do as well. Thad says, "It started out hot this morning we're in San Antonio, but it is beginning to cool off a little bit." Well, thank you so much for that report in San Antonio. Just enjoying this beautiful, slightly chilly evening. Mr. Chris says, "Will the severe weather move east enough to affect us?" Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Thad says, "There's a bit of an overcast looming over us at the moment. I thought we would see a little rain, but we weren't so lucky. It is currently 75, dipped pretty low from the high of 90 earlier." Then Maya Lewis says, "Today in our local paper, it said that South Carolina drought conditions have upgraded to severe. Right now, that's the earthquake. Yeah, well, actually higher than severe. Statewide, technically, the lowest is severe, but in Georgetown, you're technically inside of the extreme, so you're even higher than that in just that area." Then as we continue our way down, Mr. Anthony says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." And then Ms. Chris says, "Nice, much needed. It's all good." Well, thank you so much for that. And that's all that I can see here chat-wise. So we'll, come back to the chat in a little bit if we have any more chats here for me. So let's go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas, what am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. So starting off with San Antonio first, low temperatures tonight at 65, high temperature for tomorrow at 75, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. Precipitation, not expected tonight, but tomorrow there is a slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night. So make sure that you are aware, and you may actually see some of that rainfall for you. You may actually see some of that rainfall, which would be fantastic. You definitely aren't in as big of a drought as South Carolina is right now, but still do need the rainfall. Severe weather, excessive rainfall. You do have a chance of severe weather tonight, technically. In fact, there still is that one tornado warning or tornado emergency that we were talking about earlier. That's still going on right now in Monticello, Mississippi, going on to New Hebron, and then also Silver Creek, Mississippi. Again, I said if you know anybody in those areas, let them know. But over there in San Antonio right now, you're not receiving any sort of rainfall. So I'd say that honestly, your severe weather threat is pretty much kind of done, because you're not really seeing any sort of precipitation right now. And I don't really see any way how some would just magically fire up right now. So I'd honestly say that you're pretty much done. Now, if we go on and talk about your excessive rainfall, because obviously you have no severe weather for the future. Excessive rainfall wise, tonight looking good, tomorrow. But Friday, scattered flash flooding is definitely going to be an issue. So just make sure that you are aware on Friday for that. And then finally, for your future, just in general, looking like temperatures will continue to rise up. I mean, we're talking about 88 degrees on Sunday, 86 on Tuesday, 87 on Wednesday. So your temperatures will continue to rise, and precipitation chances will continue to stay up for you as you go throughout tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's going to be pretty active for you. High temperatures for Raleigh being the next location at 68 for tomorrow. Low temperatures tonight, 62. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 49 for tomorrow night. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, none of that is really expected at this time. You're pretty close tonight, but you're just out of it. Severe weather is not expected for you either. So for your future, it does look like that you will continue to be active, obviously, until you get into around Friday. Friday comes along, and you're dry Friday and Saturday, having some fun in the sun. But then Sunday comes along, going into Monday, and next thing you know, rainfall is back with you. Temperatures are also going to continue to kind of rise up, 80 on Saturday, 82 on Sunday, and then Tuesday going to drop down to around 74 or so, but it's going to remain pretty warm for you. Then for Philadelphia, low temperatures tonight at 52, high temperature for tomorrow at 67, then low temperatures tomorrow night at 47. Showers are likely tonight, tomorrow. There is indeed no risk of any sort of rainfall tomorrow, but next chance after that will be around Friday night, Saturday, Sunday night, etc. No severe weather for you, no excessive rainfall. So really the only thing you have to worry about is maybe just some rainfall. Temperature wise, you're going to continue to kind of just go up, like 80 as you go into this weekend. But I will say temperatures will continue to kind of go down for you as you go into like next week, Monday, for example, 68 being your high on Monday. It's pretty low. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 45, high temperature for tomorrow at 75, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 51. Precipitation not expected at this time. You will have the potential for some thunderstorms as you go into this weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. But other than that, it's going to stay dry. And not only will it stay dry, but it's also going to get hotter next week. 90s are on the way back. And that's all that I can see here. So let me go on real quick and bring you back over here to South Carolina. And let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise, if you know anybody outside of South Carolina. Strong and severe thunderstorms will continue this evening from eastern Texas into the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys / the southern Appalachians. The strongest storms could produce a few strong tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, large hail, and locally heavy to excessive rainfall, which may result in flash and urban flooding. So we know that all of that's happening right now. Freezing conditions going on over there in the Central Plains, going on in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, going on over inside of eastern Colorado, northern Michigan, and we have some frost as well going on around some of these areas. Yes, frost. So, just kind of interesting to see what's going on here, especially in like the western Central Plains. And then, there is one thing I didn't forget to say about Duncan, and that's on Friday, you have a little chance of severe weather, isolated flash flooding there. But that's all I'm going to say here for tonight. Let me check out my email real quick. I do see one. Thad sent in a picture saying gorgeous day for passion fruit. I'm going to show you the pictures right now. So here it is right here. Thank you so much for sending in these 3 or 4 pictures that you have for us, 3 or 4. If you want to send me a picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. And there's this temperature right here bringing us all the way up into the 80s. So, thank you so much for that picture. And because, we're going to put some change in for the top fans of the night. Remember, I said it wasn't going to be as much as just however many you put inside the chat based. I'm going to go and give you the top fan of the night tonight, Thad. I'm going to give you that number 1 spot for tonight because you sent in something for us tonight. So I'm going to give you that for tonight. He says, I'm really thinking that this up and down weather is having an impact on the growth of fruits and vegetables, especially inside of my area. So, thank you so much again for sending in those pictures once again. And like I said, I'm just trying to change things up. I'm gonna go and give you the top fan of the night for tonight. And then in terms of honorable mentions, we obviously have Mr. Chris and then my Aunt Lula being there as well. Congratulations to the three of y'all for being a part of the top fans of the night for tonight. And that's all I have to say for tonight. So, I will be back as we go into tomorrow morning for your Thursday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for your Thursday evening forecast update. And then on Friday, Friday morning, I may not be here. It's going to be a very busy day for me on Friday. A lot of stuff to get that I need to do on that Friday. Friday evening should be the same. But Friday morning, we'll see what happens. But we'll just see. And that's all. Hit the like button, subscribe button, share button. We're at 732, trying to get to 800. Make sure you hit those two buttons before you leave if you're new.